I think it's time to
I think
see
it's
what
time.
you got to show us. So
You're talking a big game about orchestrating agents. Let's see how Hebbia actually approaches it.
I would love to, yeah. So Arjun's going to give us a demo. I don't even know. I don't think
Yeah.
we said this in the event invite. I think we wanted it to be a surprise, but we're going to get a live demo of new work that I think Arjun is going to show us in Figma. So we're going to look at some real Fig files.
And we get it.
Yeah, we'll look at a few different things.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if you're in the back. I hope you can see like Roku. That's funny. I hope you can see well enough kind of what's going on. If not, then I'm sorry. This was this will be tough for you. Maybe get some binoculars, but
Fix it for next time.
we'll fix it for next time. Very cool. So I'll let you take it from here. Show us what you got.
So I just want to preface this. First time demoing live on video. I feel like people don't usually do this in design podcasts, so we'll either do something really fun or we'll find out why they don't do that.
We'll find out. Are we recording in QuickTime?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, just
I think I did it, right? Yeah, I did. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, no, we didn't design Vercel. I want to show you the old version, an old iteration of the product.
Yeah.
So one thing that we talked about was like agents. How do you make it explainable? Inputs, outputs, frame it for the user. This is the old version of the app that sucks, that I'm allowed to say because I designed it. This was like a quick, like, let's just get it out, get in front of customers, and then like learn as we go. So agent is like what we call like a very long workflow. It could be anything from just like a super long prompt to, you know, a matrix with 30 columns that is like super expensive to run. So just to give you like a quick example, this is just like a simple list of different agents. Let's say I want to do some meeting prep. I click this. You can see we're over-indexing on complexity here. This interface gives me a heart attack. You can see like the entire prompt, every single piece of metadata, what it's going to search, what model it's using. Like we're just assuming you know everything. You've come in as an existing AI expert. And when I click to run this, we have this concept of variables, which is pretty cool, which is like, I'm preparing for, let's just say like someone at Apple and I need to like have my info prepped about them. Like this modal sucks. It's like, all right, I gotta type it in. It doesn't suggest me companies. I put in Apple. It's still asking me whether it's public or private. It's not very like, you know, beautiful or anything like that, but it works. Like I can type in these variables. It fills out a prompt for me and then I can run that. So some of the things that we looked at this, one, people actually love the functionality, but there's so much in here that like, you know, people are just getting lost. I think the visuals are very dry. This isn't very like customer focused for like, you know, this is what I was talking about. These are like Hebbia outputs rather than customer use cases. And then the preview is just ridiculous. Like this is like way too much context.
And how did you get that feedback? Like, how did you figure out that those were the things that needed to change for going into the version you're about to show us?
Yeah, I mean, classic. Talk to customers, talk to the team.
Yeah.
You know, intuition also.
Yeah.
So I'll show you. We'll look at some Figmas. We'll look at some storyboards. We'll look at some V0. But for this one, I want to walk through some Figmas. So this, let me.
Yes, thank you for that. Hopefully it's a little easier for you guys back there.
Cool. So one is like in that previous world, to run any workflow, you had to go to an agent's page, search for that agent, click it, run it. Now, there's certain things that as like an analyst, you might be doing like multiple times a week. So an easy win off the bat is like, can we actually just pin relevant stuff to your nav and let you do that? And so what I can do now is I come to Hebbia, I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot my MD needs an earnings update in 15 minutes. What would have taken me, what would have just gotten me fired, now I can quickly do in the 15 minutes I have, where I can click on earnings update. I get a much simpler kind of visual focused overview of like, this is an earnings update. It's going to search web and public company. All you have to put in is a company name and you will get your output. This is placeholder right now. This is like fully in progress work. And then for the power users who are like, no, I need to see the prompt. I need to see like every little piece of metadata. You can actually maybe scroll up and see like, oh, here's how the variable gets used. Here's the model. Here's the sources it's searching. But you know, for most people, like that initial state is going to be good. And so once I get started, it's just going to say, hey, what company do you want to get an earnings update on? We've introduced variable types that can infer based on the variable name, like how to do suggestions. And so we actually have a database of like public and private companies. So in here, I can say like, all right, I need to prep for Johnson & Johnson. It'll send off that prompt. It'll start doing, its whole decomp thing, and then you'll get your output. But so this is like an example of like us trying to move towards like being more customer focused in terms of framing like what AI does and like how it's valuable.
Yeah. How did you decide on that progressive disclosure way of handling, I think, the previous screen?
Yeah, I think so. The mantra that I will keep repeating, and let me flip back here, is like
progressive disclosure. Like you had the chat window, and then you click scroll down for more, and then you had all the expert tooling, right?
Yeah. So I think like people really care about what am I getting and how do I get it. So the inputs and outputs, like the top level for us, at least this is we'll go in, and I'm sure we'll learn more about how to make this better. But right now we're saying like, this is what you get, this is how you get it. And we want to make it feel lightweight and then let the experts still like dig in. And this is actually still a simpler use case because it's just a prompt. But maybe I can quickly show like the same thing could work for like a matrix over 30 expert calls. So, oh yeah, also this is the updated version of the actual agents page, where maybe I can just do a quick flip back and forth so you can kind of see like where we started, and we really started from the bottom. But so this is the first version. This is version 2, where we're like, actually, let's pull like from consumer design patterns. Where like, is this almost more like a store, like a discover page, where it's like way more visual? Can we like show people what they're gonna get? And like, again, frame it and categorize it in the terminology and framing that is relevant to our users.
Go ahead. Or
You go.
we both have somebody, this is awesome. Like, how did you decide to frame it in that store kind of a way, right? Where you like let kind of abstract away all the complexity and say, here's this thing, right? Like to a user who doesn't know what any of this stuff is. Why did you decide to do it this way?
I think I'll tee up the second hot take, which is that I think good design is entertainment. And so we look to a lot of like, Apple App Store, like, like almost like I'm thinking like Netflix of like, how do you make this super visual and like fun and not like, oh, this is just, traditional SaaS of the last 10 years. And I don't think this is that big of a swing in that direction, but I think that's just like a guiding principle, So even running, say, example of like a 30, 50, column matrix, I might want to do an analysis on credit agreements. That flow looks like we've boiled it down to the same complexity almost as like running a prompt, where I can, run my credit agreement. It says all you're going to do is upload the credit agreements you want to analyze. And, again, if I'm a power user, I can go in and see like all the different columns that'll be run. Once I hit run, all I have to do is like, hey, choose a folder where all your credit agreements are. So, I pick Project Alpha. That we will search it for you, extract the credit agreements. So another kind of under the hood thing that Hebbia does is when you upload, it'll auto categorize your documents so that we can enable this sort of like, stuff that used to take like 40 clicks of like pick all your credit agreements and then upload is like, we're trying to like, one paper cut at a time, just like chip away at that. And then once you've got them, you can kind of review them, and then you see them all get added into your grid, and it'll extract all this data for you, like, within minutes, so depending on how many credit agreements. And then it'll even run like a summary on like, okay, based on your what you've uploaded, here's some vulnerabilities, here's a recommendation. And this is like where I think we start to like scratch that like alpha, where like each of these columns is a prompt. So if this column is a prompt over 30 documents, each of these is like 30 prompts. And then, so you can see how the exponential power of how AI is being applied. And each prompt is like you codifying like your firm's, IP basically, right? Like how you think about, that's your secret sauce. That's sure. We don't want to sell that like we can replace your analyst. We want to sell like you're the power. Like the secret sauce is yours, and we're here to help you just amplify it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. This is super cool to see. Thank you for showing this, first of all. I love how, especially in this interface, you can see all of the deep work. You can really go into the specific details of one specific company, but you also get the full summary right there, right? If you need the insights, they're right immediately available. I think the idea of using columns to codify your business's like specific decisions and how you're thinking about things, maybe your investment strategy, right?
Exactly.
Across all these different attributes that you might consider is really interesting, because typically this would be like, hard coded into like a multi-step like manual logic process, right? But because each one is a prompt, each column gets like a degree of freedom, almost in the same way like a junior analyst would have. Like maybe you'd give them like an initial script to read, but they can use their own judgment to figure out what is probably appropriate based on the context that your company has and all the other prompts that's run before. That's, maybe I'm assuming this wrong, but that's incredible.
Yeah.
Not to trigger people in the room, but I know like speaking in finance can be like kind of confusing. Like if you're not already familiar, it's like, I don't know what this means. So maybe just to freak you out a little bit, the way I dog food the product as like not a finance professional is I will pipe in like resumes into Matrix and then basically run it through like, all right, extract their portfolio, their password, years of experience, and like some certain ways on how we think about like who's applying and who's joining the team.
Yeah.
And then use that like as a supplement. Like obviously we're going through every application, but like this is a way for me to both dog food the product and also see like, all right, like how would like someone actually use this in a way? And it's fun.
Are you finding yourself doing that more and more, like in terms of your process? Like, are you trying to find new ways to dog food your product, or because AI is so like generative and dynamic in its process, less and less of it can be done in Figma because you don't know what the experience will be like.
Yeah.
Is that just one way you're thinking through this, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah. I think like, so a really good example is like when I run this through our chat, and I asked chat to like sort of give me a summary of like the candidates and like where are they coming from. Like sometimes it like won't do a good job at that, even though we have a great chat. Like the agent that chats over this won't necessarily know how to weight each column, right?
Sure.
So I might have a column that says, look at all the other columns and like assign a order list that I should review the candidates at. The AI agent might just say like, recommend random ones like based on, whatever it decides. And so it helps you find like all these gaps of like, you wouldn't even think like just looking in Figma,
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know you could build weights into it. That's super cool.
You can't.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. But now I'm like, we need to build the weights because it's giving me bullshit answers that don't map out to what I'm trying to do.
So do you find yourself like doing that on a day-to-day basis? Like how often are you designing the visuals in Figma versus like trying the live product and like seeing what the experience actually works like?
I think like you can't do one or the other. Like we're in this world where you have to have one foot in like both at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we all feel like non-deterministic design is like frustrating, but also fun in that way.
Absolutely.
I can't get over how it's all chat. Like in a, the meme of like the astronaut? Anyone know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chat all the way down.
Exactly. It's funny. Like this is essentially just 1,000 chat boxes smashed together. Yeah.
So, like, you must believe that chat's really important as a way for the user to get what the user wants.
It is the muscle memory. So I think like what we hear again and again is like analysts will be like, I work 18 hours a day and I have one screen that I had an analyst say this to us literally on Tuesday. I work 18 hours a day and all 18 hours I have one monitor that's just ChatGPT.
Whoa.
And I like use that all day. I come to Hebbia as soon as like I have more than 10 files to analyze, like that's when I'm coming to Hebbia to like really go ham on the processing power. But like that is the baseline of like now, like ChatGPT is fast. It's like well animated. It's like hyper simplified in terms of UI. They're like, they're not doing what we're guilty of, which is like offloading decisions onto users because like, we're still navigating inference. And so we are like, that's a priority for us of like, parity is table stakes. It's not even what's going to help us win, but it's like what helps us get our foot in the door and then get people like onto the more advanced, like powerful stuff.
Incredible. I think that makes a ton of sense. I had a question on kind of like the craft, like visual design side. Could you go back to that, like the library of the agents, like the presets?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I find really interesting, what strikes me about this is the choice to have thumbnails, to have image thumbnails. Because like you could totally get away with this page without having the previews on the right-hand side, or even having like the nice like call to action with the like M&A deal review. Could you tell me about your choice to include those intentionally? And is it coming from like the M&A deal review literally looks like a physical book or like physical pages that analysts might be familiar with?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about like your process to even choose to include these?
I mean, it's visual cues. Like you could look at a picture faster than you can read, how many ever pages. And so these are actually still like somewhat placeholder. Like in an ideal world, we would actually have like real generated sample. Like right now it's like stubbed out and it's a little like kind of goofy looking, but like in our ideal world, we would actually generate like placeholder relevant-ish sounding fake content because it just makes the product look more realistic. And like, again, inputs, outputs, like this is what you're going to get.
Sure. So helping to prime the user for what to expect, because they might not know how an agent works or what that looks like, but as much as you can, keep them in the loop in the process of showing them what they're going to get out of this.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's awesome. Yeah. I think you also had something to show us that's super experimental.
So we were going to tee up. This is like, I think more of the like leaning a little bit more into play and experience and experimentation. But, one of the hot takes I mentioned was that I think like good design is entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a new take. Or not new, but like a shift, at least for B2B, and that's come in like recent years. And so this is like super early. Like we've just started on this, but we were thinking about, there's no onboarding in Hebbia right now. You just sign up and good luck. So we were thinking about like, what would it look like to have like what would a Hebbia introduction to Hebbia and AI look like? And so this is like a really rough storyboard. I don't even have it wired up. I'll just like end through it. But it's like, okay, you get your email, you're in Outlook because you're in finance, you sign up. And immediately what we do is like, it's deep frying the colors a little bit. But your form is actually like a business card, and I don't know if you can see it on there, but it has that eggshell card stock, like all the good stuff. You type in like your name, your role, maybe even you enter in your LinkedIn. And then from there, we'll start to introduce you to like, hey, this is like the Hebbia prompt bar. This is where all users are going to start. And you can like, we'll say, let's try an example research query. So let's pretend we're all Jackson Smith, who's an MD at Morgan Stanley. We will fill in a prompt like with his information. So like as Jackson Smith, and then we'll like this is one of the ways where we currently have to offload some decision making onto the user. So in ChatGPT, for example, like it kind of knows to search web. You don't really have to do too much work to point it. Hebbia is different. People come with terabytes of data that's like sectioned off by deals they're working on. And so like we are working on some functionality for the AI to sort of auto decide like where to look. But if you really want the best answer, it's like an extra click to kind of like point the AI for where to search. So here we're saying like, hey, like turn on web to like do some research on Jackson Smith. And then I'll click that. And what it'll do is it'll actually do a deep research on me, Jackson, and say like, oh, you're a storied career in finance and like you're in the financial sector, blah, blah, blah. We'll actually then use that sort of research to build a custom like system instructions and model prompt for Jackson. And then we'll do the onboarding 101 stuff, which is like here use cases, agents, hyper relevant to you, meeting prep note. And we're sort of organizing this by like, meeting prep you might be doing like a couple times a week. public comps in investment banking you might be doing, you know, every month, a little bit less frequently, but like it's much more powerful. And then, you know, make an investment memo. You're not doing that super often, but it's like a very powerful, expensive use case. So this was like a rough storyboard, and then, you know, having fun with, I love V0. We sort of started like trying to play around with like, what would that like unboxing feel like? And this is just like me going ham, having fun with like the American Psycho kind of vibe, where I can go in here and like, again, if good design is entertainment, you're not filling out a form, you're like customizing your little American Psycho business card. You know, I can go in here and like enter my job. And this was cool. This is like all prompts. I didn't really like get into the code. This is completely unnecessary, right? Like this is not going to like fundamentally change our product market fit, but it is going to drastically affect how people form a first opinion on our product, which is crucial as a business that often does like proof of concepts and pilots. So yeah, I just like started like, I don't think even a quarter of this will make it into the final product, but you know, enough of it will.
Amazing. I think that deserves a round of applause. That's pretty cool, man.
I love this, both the onboarding in Figma and this prototype, for a few reasons. I think traditionally that sort of onboarding where you have to enter information about yourself would be through a form and would be kind of tedious, and people try and skip through it. The fact that you can run a prompt on yourself in order to collect the same information, but also verify how the process works and like see the product work firsthand on information that you know to be true. Like, you know where you went to work and what your story was.
Yeah.
Seeing how it delivers that to you is a automatic win and like first moment of like first delight, which I think is a really interesting approach.
It's awesome.
Do you think that the ability to like play or explore these explorations is that built into the culture at Hebbia? Do you think that that's valuable to be able to like try and explore these sorts of things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe afterwards Connor is here, who's on the team, and he can sort of back this up. But yeah, we generally like, you know, the way we think about different like AI, especially AI for finance, is converging so much. Like, we're all serving the same customers and like converging on the same use cases, and like, you know, we use the same safe, like, here's a generated financial looking building behind like a little snippet of our UI. Like, everyone is doing the same thing. And I think the way to really differentiate, if so much of what we're after is the same, is to just like put yourself in the product, or like put the company's like identity in the product. And so, you know, we love pop culture, we love architecture, we love music, we love fashion, and like we want to bring all of that into the product. We actually think people in finance, like if you watch those like, you know, whatever, your Gordon, Wall Street and American Psycho, like people work in this industry because they love and care about craft, and they want to be surrounded by the best craft in the world. And so we want to like emulate that and use that as a point to like set ourselves apart.
I love that. I think that's super poetic.
Yeah, very poetic. That's awesome. I think we can talk now, kind of
Hiring?
change it up a little bit, talk about hiring, talk about trends. Great demo. Round of applause again.